to this, I'm going to show you that. The key to this model is to understand that what you're looking at is one muscle cell, which means we can't see a fascicle, we can't see the epi or the perimysium because none of that surrounds one individual cell. The only layer of connective tissue that we can have, that we can see surrounding a muscle, is the endomysium here. And they're trying to show you its connective tissue here would be all those fibers. And that endomysium, remember, is designed to sandwich and attach all of these individual muscle fiber cells together. So you would see one wrapping here. And the other thing that they're showing you by cutting it here is that it also helps to adhere the nerves, the very ending of the nerves, down onto the muscle so that they are wrapped in endomysium as well. We can't see a tendon on this muscle. It is in your muscle cell model thing, but you can obviously see tendons, and we have examples of them over there. Okay, so then we get to the terminology. Sarcolemma, which is the boundary of the muscle cell. So it just means, lemma means membrane. Sarco is our root for muscle, so it's just this muscle cell membrane. It's this peach guy. And then over here it folds a whole bunch. That's a reminder that that is the sarcolemma. And if you're starting to read about the neuromuscular junction, and I don't believe the terminology is here, but this is just for your own mental images, this is the motor end plate. So this is the part which is going to receive the message from the nervous system. The sarcoplasma or sarcoplasma is the cytoplasm inside the cell. So in our case it would be this sort of brown interior with the pink mitochondria, which is a nice reminder. And this is unique, right? In muscles it contains oxygen, high levels of oxygen, stored glycogen so that it can do whatever the muscle needs to do as soon as it needs to do it. The sarcoplasmic reticulum, which is obviously related to the endoplasmic reticulum, hence its name. Here it is. This is this webbing that goes across. In anatomy, it's a good thing to learn that what it is, but also remember that it stores calcium. When you hit physiology, you'll discover that's really its key function, is that it's going to store and release the calcium at the start of muscle contraction. Each of these columns that we see here are made up of lots and lots of protein. Each of these is a myofibril. It's composed of thick and thin filaments, but if you look at the model, it's really not that clear which ones are thick and which ones are thin, so we're not going to worry about that. I think they're trying to show you that these are thin and these are thick, but then the color's wrong. So I don't like it, so we're not going to do that. What we can still see, though, is the sarcomere. The sarcomere runs from one Z disc to another Z disc. It runs right through the middle of each of the light bands. So here's the middle of a light band, so that would be one sarcomere, and then there would be another sarcomere. So I'll have it identified like this, and I'll ask you what this portion of the myofibril is called, and that's the sarcomere. And this is really the key thing to learn, and the reason we have you learn all the bands and the thises and the that's is because this is the key to how muscles function. So when you get to physiology, this is the level you're going to talk about it on, which is actually why we have you memorize it. The nuclei are all the big purple guys. It's weird that we only have one in this muscle cell model, because one of those characteristics of muscle cells is that they have like hundreds of nuclei, because when they're embryonic cells, they're all individual cells that merge to form these long cells. And it's just nice to remind yourself that you're looking at one little cell, but that, like, if say we look at the if we look at this leg muscle, all of these would be composed of one cell that stretches the entire length this way, and then another cell that stretches the entire length. So these are incredibly long cells, much more so than a lot of the other cells in our body, except maybe some nerves. T-tubules are also the transverse tubules. They're these blue guys. So what they're responsible for doing is, you can see how they hook up to little holes. So they're going to connect the extracellular environment or in this case the interstitial fluid, what's happening outside the cell to what's actually happening inside the cell. And the reason they're so crucial is because it's each of these myofibrils, as we said, the sarcomeres, right, that are responsible for contraction. So when the message comes for the muscle to contract, it needs to get deep into the heart, and it needs to touch each of these columns of protein. So it's going to use the transverse tubules to travel down inside the muscle, which is why they're shaped the way they are. So it's all the blue stuff here. Oh, you do need to know the motor end plate. Good. So here is your motor end plate again. It's the folded portion of the sarcolemma. This, in conjunction with the nerve, which is in white with all these vesicles here, that's the neuromuscular junction. In order to get you to say that on the exam, the practical, I'll go ahead and use the word junction or joining in the question so that you know I'm asking for that and not the motor end plate or something else crazy that you don't know yet. And that's that.